This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 69 of the Healthy Critters Radio on the Horse Radio Network. Healthy Critters Radio is brought to you by Biostar US. Find them online at biostarus.com.
On today's show, we ask what piece of advice your horse would give you. Breed of the show is the guinea pig. In Critter Nutrition, we focus on environmental consciousness for the sea otters, and we read Chapter 2 of the book Dr. Dolittle. Join us. All I want to say is, Patty P, it is bloody hot.
I'm getting blamed a lot for this. I'm just going to say, when I first moved back, everybody blamed me for the rain. Now they're blaming me for the heat.
You're a pretty powerful being.
I'm something. Yeah. I have to tell you, I just got back from Dallas late Sunday, got off the plane and thought, criminy, it is totally hotter here than it was in Texas. I mean, the humidity, it's been really bad. I don't remember it being this bad. I knew it would get bad.
It's never been this bad in September.
Yeah, I guess
I've been
here
33 years.
Yeah. Okay.
So
well,
let's blame it on you.
Well, at least it's not raining anymore. So, no, it's been incredible. My attempt, one of my number one things that I wanted to do when I moved here was not do so many horses a day. And today we did 9. And at one point I just kept thinking, I can't keep doing this. This is really hard. But, this too shall pass. I mean, it's going to do this for maybe a couple more days. And then maybe, most beautiful part of the season. So.
But it's been a long 2+ weeks heat wave. That's a long heat wave for you.
It is, yeah. I think they call that heat hell. That's not a wave.
Heat
There's
tsunami.
Got to be another term for that. Yeah, heat tsunami. That's it. I think we just pegged a new one. Yeah.
And Jennifer, how is it in Florida?
It is sweltering in Florida as we record episode 69 of the Healthy Critters Radio, but there are glimmers of hope in that we will have several hours every few days or so where it's pleasant.
Is that when it's really? Is that from 12 to 1:30?
Yeah,
a.m.
Yeah.
I was going to say 5 to 6:30 a.m.
Yeah. Yes, it's usually when the sun comes up. Yeah, about an hour and a half after the sun comes up, it starts to get pretty miserable, and yeah, and we've been getting rain like crazy, so. The mosquitoes are out. So this is Mother Nature's last cruel trick before the gorgeous winter shows up here in Florida.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
I'm attributing it to global warming. We need to start getting
it's not me, though. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I'm so glad to have it off my shoulders.
True. It's a big burden to bear for one person.
It is. It is. I was beginning to wonder.
Yep. So the lesson there is don't put away your fly masks, fly sheets, and fly spray yet, people.
No.
Yeah.
No. And I noticed that the B-52 bombers are so aggressive right now.
Well, again,
those big horse flies. Jesus.
Yeah, in 4 years. And it's so funny because, I walk my horses in the beginning of the ride and I walk them afterwards. And it's just like, they all sit wherever they come from and they go, oh, look, she's out again with a really big one. Let's go get her. And then it's like, the horses are like, this is no fun. They're coming into the indoor now.
No.
They were chasing a horse that I was lunging today. And I thought, this is just sad. But it's their last ditch of, they're trying to get what they can before they go away. So,
not soon enough. Yes. And we'll be in beautiful autumn, which is just perfect riding weather and happy weather.
It is. And happy weather. It's true. Even though it's been hot, I've been pretty happy. So I really can't complain there.
Well, it's been such a shock coming back from Alaska to this. that I've kept my outside activities really limited.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're inside, like, reading a book or coming up with something
working,
for Biostar,
and then I have to walk outside. It's like walking into a blast furnace. And even the dogs are like, just let me out and let me go to the bathroom. I want to back into the fan.
Well, I just want you to realize when you're out there for that brief second, I've probably been out there for 8 hours.
I'm bowing to you, although you can't see it. I am literally bowing to you.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate that. Okay, now I feel better. I'm done whining.
Wait till the winter comes. Then that's a whole new set of wines.
Oh my! Well, we'll be in Florida, so let's not worry about that. Well, I'm ready for I really am ready for the change of season, and I do. I do like cold weather. I just don't like it for terribly long periods of time.
There we go.
Right.
See, that's why the seasons change when they do. Mother Nature created it at just the right amount of time. That just about the time we're sick and tired of summer, we get fall. And just about the time we're sick and tired of raking up leaves, it starts to snow. And just about the time we're really sick and tired of ice, we get green grass. And just about the time we're really sick and tired of mosquitoes and green grass, it turns into a sweltering desert. So, Mother Nature did that on purpose.
Yeah. Okay. Well done.
Yeah.
Well, Mother Nature also didn't give our horses the English language to speak with.
Aww.
But I thought it would be interesting if we talked about what piece of advice our horses would give us if they could speak to us in the English language. Jennifer?
Kind of like our story later. I see how this ties in now.
Yes. Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah. You did. Yeah. The light bulb just came on, didn't it, Patty? If he could give me advice, I think he would first say, would you stop? Would you please let me investigate all these things? He's one of those horses that when you're leading him around anywhere, he perceives the world with his lips. He's like a toddler. You know how toddlers have to shove everything in their mouth? It's like, really?
Oh, yeah.
Everything has to be bumped and tasted and pushed over with his giant head. And you can tell he's utterly frustrated when I won't let him do it. It's like, would you please come on? I need to see what that is.
It sounds like his head's a big hand.
Well, it is. Yes, he uses it as both a weapon and an investigative tool. Yeah. So I think that would be his piece of advice: is would you just please let me investigate my world? I'll be with you in a minute.
It's good advice. You know,
it is good advice.
When you take it out of the equine context into the human context, that's good advice for all. Really.
Absolutely.
Yeah, indeed.
My horse would be very succinct, and his 3 words would be, or his 2 words would be, stop worrying.
Yeah.
Chill, man. Take a chill pill.
Yeah.
Yeah, just chill out.
That's good.
No worries. Just chill.
Just chill.
Okay, Patty, how about you?
Well, besides, please don't show up. Why are we doing this again? Because I can't believe we're doing that again. Well, mine's a baby, and he's a very big baby. In fact, my daughter has referenced him to Melman in Madagascar, the giraffe, because he's got a very long neck, and he can telescope it up, and it's always just like, oh my God, did you see that over there? And then you go back around, he's like, oh my God, it's still there. He thinks that's pretty cool. So one of his things would be like, why can't we go over there again? And I think the other thing would be, I don't understand why you're not giving me as many treats as we did in the beginning when you put that thing on my back. Why when he's been incredibly good at breaking, and actually a bit of a baby genius. I've taught him to lunge by myself in an indoor without any panels or anything to teach him to turn. So he picked on pretty quickly. And then from that, like after I taught him to lunge in 3 days, I was like, all right, well, we might as well do this over a tarp. And I did that by myself with no help. So like, he's really very like, oh, well, let's do this. He really, quite good. So when we got to the point where we had the tack on and he was lunging and he was doing great, he was shockingly afraid of the mounting block because he's been like so good about everything. So what I did is I would put, treats on the mounting block. I'd put, little carrot or whatever. Well, he's kind of smart. And so every time we go over to the mounting block, he still looks for the treat. But it got to the point where, like, again, remember, he's like a giraffe. Once I would get the person on, to walk him around, then he's like giraffing over me trying to get another treat. So anyway, we stopped doing treats pretty quickly after he stopped being afraid. So I guess, honestly, what he would say would be, "Where's the treat?"
He's holding up his end of
I'm
the
being
bargain.
really good.
He's doing it, and you're not giving him the treat.
Yeah. He's like.
So how do you translate that into the larger context of your daily life?
I have to think about that.
She slipped that one in. That wasn't in the plan.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She goes making us think.
For a second there, I thought that whole part of my thinking brain melted at, I think, 12:30 this morning or this morning. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. I honestly don't know how to answer that. Other than either I need to give more treats or I need to stop giving treats. I don't know.
I would look at it a different way. Think of treat as being, an act of kindness or reward or.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay.
So when your horse is saying, "Where's the treat?" perhaps in the larger context of, how we treat other beings.
Give everybody treats. You give them a hug or a smile or a pat on the back. I got it.
Well, I figured it out.
Thank you.
Yeah, I always like to. Yeah, I always thank my horses. Any of them. When I say my horses, I mean the horses that I have in training. But I always, I am not a big treat giver.
No, I know you're not.
I believe the reward should be the relationship and patting and, whatever.
Yeah.
But when you do a lot of horses, I want them to be happy that I'm getting on their back. So I always give them a little something when I get on, just say, "Okay, look what we're doing." And we walk around just so they're, as we're walking, they're like, "God, that tastes good." That's putting me in a good mood. And, but whenever I'm done, I always make sure that I always pat them. I always rub them all over. I always try to have, some part in being able to untack them. Because obviously when you do this many horses, you have to have great help. And I have really great help. And if I can't do it, and this is something I learned from our good friend, Peta Tigger years ago, when I would go and teach her at her farm, it was adorable because she, and I don't know if she does it today to this extent, but I know she gives them cookies after she rides. But depending on how the day was, it'd either be a 2-cookie day or a 3-cookie day or a 4-cookie day. And it was just kind of cute, but it was just, I loved that bridge of her always wanting to reward the horse for how great their day was. But regardless of how it went, they always got a treat. It was always like a thank you for, for being a good horse. Or, my God, every time I'm always it's so silly. I don't know how many horses I've broke in my life. I hate that term broke, but how many?
Yeah, you started.
You started. But every time I do it, every time a person sits on their back for the first time, I am still floored. I mean, absolutely floored. Like, I cannot believe you are letting us do this.
Yeah.
And that's why I always try so hard to make it so positive. So,
well, and I think my horse's advice is so pertinent, not just to me, but to a lot of us, that we bring our worries to the barn, even if it's not a worry directly about the horse, but it's a worry about work or family or friends or whatever.
Oh, sure. Anything.
And the horses are so sensitive, they just pick up on it. So I've been much more mindful about leaving all that behind. And when I'm out at the barn, I just keep my head really empty, and in the moment.
Yeah. I try desperate. I think the older I get, the better I can do at that, because I know that I have often been stressed about things and done a disservice to my ability to communicate with what I truly wanted to do with the horses. And I think, that's the one great thing about being the age I am right now, is I truly am finally benefiting from my time on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
That I have. I love it when people say, don't worry, or, don't do that. Or when you go and you ride and do this. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know. I have been married for nearly 30 years. I've got 3 kids. I've had a whole lot of stuff go on in life like everybody else does. It's hard to do that. Some people are more capable of it for sure. But, I've always been a little bit more of a anxiety driven person, which has been useful too. But, I think that's good advice, to try not to worry, but it's also hard to do.
It is because we feed off the worry, and it's learning not to do, and it's a control thing. If I worry about something that hasn't even happened yet, so I can prepare myself, I'm just trying to control the future, which is fruitless.
Not going to happen.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
But don't you feel like the older you get, the more you realize it. Of course you can hear it, but truly making it permeate in your brain where you truly can act on those words and realize, I really can stop myself from feeling this way. It's a
surrender. For me, it's been just surrendering.
Yeah.
And knowing that whatever happens, I will somehow make my way through it.
Yeah. Because of all this time you've been on the planet and how many times you have made it through.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, kind of cool.
It is. And maybe some good advice is that if your horse is telling you that, that you're bringing too many worries or drama or whatever to the barn, maybe it's time to get our breed of the show, a guinea pig.
Ooh.
Yay!
And
there we go.
That is a worry-free.
And we're going to get to guinea pigs right after we chat with a certain Pomeranian puppy dog.
And now it's time to give a shout out and a call to our friendly Pomeranian, Hedwig. So we're going to get her on the line and find out how things are in Pomeranian world.
Hello.
Hetty.
Hi, Hetty.
Happy Tickle. Jennifer?
We're all here.
How are things in Pomeranian world?
Tigger. Well, to be frank, it's quite hot here, and my human servant has to be fired again. Bit of a dither.
Oh, how come?
She went to work, like that's a real thing, and abandoned us for hours, and then she came back all grumpy. And when my sister and I went up to the barn 2 times to eat cat food, and she had to come get us, she was cranky.
Imagine that.
Well, Hetty, we have a question for you.
And I have answers.
I know you do. So we were thinking that Pomeranians, historically, must have been the dogs of royalty. So, given the English royal family, which member of the royal family would you like to live with, and why?
Well, Tigger, obviously you wanted to talk about the current royal family, but I am not going to do that because they're all a bunch of inbred little wasp-nosed weasels. I'm going to go for the historical angle on this one, and I think I'm going to shock you by saying that I would like to be the pet of Elizabeth Woodville, the wife of Edward IV. He, as you no doubt know, was the king who won the War of the Roses. He and his brothers were the Yorkists, and they galloped down, and the story goes that the sun rose behind them as they galloped down to save England from its giant, miserable mess, the Sons of York. Now, it's true that the Duke of Clarence made a small treasonous error and had to be drowned. That was his chosen form of execution in a giant barrel of wine, which I love as a mode of execution, and I keep in mind always. And then So Edward is coming back from the war. He's very dirty, very grubby, very tired, already married to someone else. But he sees Elizabeth Woodville. And although she was a widow and relatively poor, he fell in love with her, and she came to court, and all of her relatives became very upwardly mobile, and there was a joke, the rivers are rising.
So did she marry him?
Rising in society. She did, yes, and it said that her mother was a witch, Jaquetta was a witch, and she used love magic to ensnare Edward for her daughter Elizabeth, and they had many, many daughters, and 2 sons. The sons are famous, they're the little boys who were going to be kings, but their uncle was their Lord Protector and Regent, and somehow they disappeared from the tower. Oops, gone. And so Richard III became king briefly until 1485 and the Battle of Bosworth, when he was so no longer king because a Tudor came along, an inbred little Tudor, and up he went and became king. You know him as Henry VII.
Aha. So I would like to know, you would like to be the Pomeranian of the wife?
Elizabeth Woodville, yes. Mm-hmm.
Aha.
Edward V's wife, Elizabeth Woodville.
Okay.
Edward IV was the great one. Edward V is the interesting one. Edward VI was young and only made it for a few years after Henry VIII died.
Unlike all of those Edwards, Hedwig, you are both great and interesting.
Mm-hmm. They were interesting. Are you kidding? Edward IV was called the Black Prince. He was a fabulous little twisted piece of work. I love him.
I've been in his tomb.
See? Tigger visited the dead Black Prince.
Now that's a story. Anyway, I was thinking that you would be a great dog for Prince Harry.
No, you're wrong.
Yeah.
I want to be the witch's daughter's pet.
Well, thanks, Hetty. Thanks for the
Hetty.
lesson. And now we know that you will not associate with the current royal family. Good to know.
That was very clear.
Pretenders to the throne. They're not even British.
I know, they're German.
They're German. You don't need more German things.
And now it's time for the breed of the show.
So we are at the breed of the show segment, and my good co-host Tigger had made a great suggestion of doing guinea pigs. And I had never really thought that much about guinea pigs and where they came from, having had several in my children's lives. I found the whole thing very interesting. They are indeed not pigs. They're rodents, which I'm sure that most people know. They are actually from South America, not Africa, which I guess was kind of interesting to me. I guess most people thought, guinea pig, Africa. I get that.
Yeah.
But they originated in the Andes of South America.
Wow.
So, didn't know that. There's so many different types. So this is just more of a generalized type, but they have skinny pig, Texel Guinea, Abyssinian, Peruvian. I mean, like so many different types with different types of coats. Some are a short coat with different, colors. They have white and brown and black, or you can have a solid one, but they also have wavy coated ones. And then the Abyssinian, I'm sure you can imagine, is kind of a longer coat, but they come in different colors and they can be really quite cute. But some of the background's kind of interesting. I don't know if you've ever thought about this, Togu, but they're not naturally found in the wild. Did you ever think about that?
No.
I didn't.
Have they always been domesticated?
Yeah, from as far as I could see, they've always been domesticated, and I couldn't really figure out exactly where they originated, and also couldn't find where the name guinea pig came from because, or how they came up with it. They're also known as, I'm probably not going to pronounce this properly, but cavy or domestic cavy. And there's some Latin background to that goes to little pigs, which is maybe where they came, but they just don't know where guinea pig came from. But they, so they're domestic, and most of the time you'll find them in living in cages, like a crate, or they sell guinea pig obviously cages at PetSmart and those type of things. And they do very well like that. They also do well in larger numbers of guinea pigs, but they don't do really well with other types of rodents like gerbils or hamsters, because I guess it increases respiratory issues, which is one of the downfalls of guinea pigs. That you have to be very careful. They can get respiratory problems, which gets into a little bit of the care of a guinea pig, which is very similar to like a rabbit, which you would imagine you want to keep their cages clean with a good sort of shaving or shaving like you would put in a horse's stall. And you need to clean it a lot. I mean, they're obviously, if they're in there, they're doing their business in their home every day. So when we had the guinea pigs, we cleaned it out every day. They're super easy to feed. Their diet is basically, any type of natural grass is good, because they have obviously this cute little rodent piece and they've got to wear them down, but like a Timothy hay or a grass hay. But it's very important that you get a food pellet, which again is based normally at the basis of it is hay. And I think there's some different vitamins and stuff that you can get in them, but because they don't synthesize vitamin C that well, it's very important that you give them the little food pellet that's going to look probably like an alfalfa cross of some sort, because they can suffer from scurvy, which is one of the main things that ends up killing them as pets. So pretty important.
So can you not give them like oranges and lemons and high vitamin C foods?
I didn't see that, but that's probably good. I mean, I can't see why not. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't.
Could you see a guinea pig with a little clementine? God, it would be so cute.
Okay, I don't know if you listeners can tell, but Tigger's on a.
I'm dying
Tigger's
to
on the path.
Guinea pig.
She's going to get herself a little pig. But they do okay alone, but it sounds like they really like company, which is nice.
Would Australian Shepherds count?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, not that type of company. Maybe one. So there should be a limit. But this is sort of interesting. And again, you can understand why I'm going to mention this. So if you do decide to get a guinea pig or two, you want to make sure that you get it 2 males or 2 females, because they, believe it or not, they mature in 3 to 5 weeks. 3 to 5 weeks. Like guinea pig is born and they're mature, boom, like that.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. Wait for this. Wait. Females can mature up to 4 weeks. Like at 4 weeks, they can be mature, and they can be like ready to breed in that period of time. Like, yeah, it's crazy. Like mature. So, okay, sitting down, girls, because this is the interesting part. 6 to 48 hours after they give birth, they can become pregnant again.
Oh my God.
So again, but this is the whole rodent family thing. So, important fact, you don't want to be breeding guinea pigs. So make sure if you do get 2, or however many, keep them all the same sex.
Good advice.
Yeah. So this may be my favorite part of my guinea pig research. They all make noises, and I know you guys have heard them, right? Different types of noises, but they actually named some of the noises that they make a bunch of different, and I know this is just going to sign you up, Tigger. I can just see you getting your keys to leave to go get yourself a guinea pig. But one of so I'm just going to give you a couple of names of these noises they make. One's called a week, which is that loud noise, which I think we're all pretty familiar with, which is kind of the excitement to eat, which is adorable. They can also make a bubbling or a purring kind of noise, which is enjoyment. Rumbling, which is more of a dominance thing when they're in a group. Again, make sure you'll get all males, all females. Shutting or whining, and that would be in a breeding situation where they are being pursued. So we don't want to hear that. Yeah, right. They do chattering and chirping sounds very much like a bird, which is a little, you don't hear it as commonly, but it's more of a stress or discomfort. But I just found it so fascinating how versatile they are, and they really do make good pets. If you get them younger, if they're handled earlier, they really are amenable to being picked picked up or carried, they will seldom scratch or try to bite. So they're very trainable. In fact, one thing that I read said if the owner, it comes into the room and whistles every time they come in, the guinea pig will start to become very vocal and make that weak noise, like weak, 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 because they know that their owner's coming. Isn't that kind of cute?
Yeah. Now I want one that has Chris Rock's voice.
That's called make believe. But you could get one and name it Chris Rock.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, if you have a guinea pig, let us know.
And
I
we want to know if they make the noises. Yeah.
And I love watching guinea pig videos on Facebook. I mean, watching them eat is just a riot. Who could have a bad day when you watch them crunch down on lettuce and veggies? I mean,
it's cute.
It's adorable. So let us know if you've got a guinea pig and if it has Chris Rock's voice.
Please let us know.
So we're now at Critter Nutrition, and this segment, rather than talking about nutrition, I'm going to talk about environmental consciousness, specifically the sea otter. For the second year in a row, I've had close encounters in Ketchikan Bay, Alaska with sea otters. The guides at the Wilderness Lodge have named me the Otter Whisperer. Gliding around sea otters in a kayak holding a lens half as long as my arm should be disturbing to these endangered animals. But for some reason, the mothers show me their babies. One otter went to great lengths to groom himself in front of me, floating so close to the kayak I could have touched him. Others simply mugged for the camera, while one particularly old gentleman otter showed me his broken tooth and how he cleans it. I saw my first ever otter taxi. A band of 50 sea otters, some of which caught rides on other otters as they moved across the waters of a cove. Make no mistake, that otter tail is so powerful they can power through the water at speed like the otter equivalent of a motorboat. One guide said, I have grown up here and never been so close to any sea otter as when you were in the kayak with me. They usually dive deep to stay away from humans. I don't think I possess any special otter juju. But I do think a lifetime spent with horses and dogs has taught me how to be respectful and non-threatening, how to be sensitive and appreciative of other essences, be it horse, dog, cat, chicken, or otter. In Ketchikan Bay, Alaska, there are approximately 5,000 sea otters. Hunted to near extinction in the 19th century, the species was first protected with the signing of the International Fur Seal Treaty in 1911, and later in the 1970s under the Endangered Species and Marine Mammal Protection Act. Worldwide, there used to be sea otter populations of more than 1 million before the fur trade decimated their numbers. Today, there are approximately 106,000 sea otters in the world. Otters are the heaviest members of the weasel family. They do not have blubber to keep them warm. Sea otters have the densest fur in the animal kingdom, ranging from 250,000 to 1 million hairs per square inch, which insulates them. Sea otters are critical to the ocean environment. They help maintain the balance of nearshore kelp ecosystems. Without sea otters, the undersea animals they eat, such as urchins, mussels, clams, and crabs, would devour the kelp forests. Kelp also plays an important role in capturing carbon in coastal ecosystems. Because kelp grows from the bottom of the seafloor to the surface, otters will wrap themselves in kelp to keep themselves from drifting in strong currents. Otter males can live 10 to 15 years, while females live between 15 and 20 years. The northern sea otters, who make their home in Alaska waters, can weigh as much as 100 pounds. The threats to sea otters include more frequent shark attacks because the sea otters are expanding their range in search of food. Conflict with humans, often in the form of entrapment in fishing nets and traps, pose a major threat to sea otter populations. Land pollution that runs off into the ocean contaminates the sea otter's habitat, jeopardizing their food sources. Scientists have reported the accumulation in sea otters of man-made chemicals such as PCBs and PBDEs, which are polybrominated diphenyl ethers, which is a flame retardant used in furniture and electronics, at some of the highest levels ever seen in marine mammals. Well, what do sea otters have to do with horses? Both are part of the intricate web of ocean and land. Grazing animals are as important to grasses and open land as sea otters are to kelp forests and bays. The food both species eat needs to be free of man-made contaminants. A study presented at the Salish Sea Ecosystem Conference April 2018 measured the Puget Sound food eaten by captive sea otters in the Seattle Aquarium and showed that the mussels had high glyphosate, and surf clams had high pyrethroid, which is a popular insecticide, values. A crowd-funded study compiled by the Ramazzini Institute in Italy, along with Bologna University, the Italian National Health Institute, George Washington State University, and the Icahn School of Medicine, observed the health effects of glyphosate on Sprague Dawley rats, which had been dosed with the U.S. EPA-determined safe limit of 1.75 micrograms per kilo of body weight. The authors reported that glyphosate can have disrupting effects on sexual development, genes, and beneficial gut bacteria at doses considered safe. This study is published in Environmental Health, May 2018. Of course, horses aren't rats, yet they are continually exposed to herbicides like Roundup in their hay, pastures, and feeds, especially feeds containing non-organic ingredients such as beet pulp, alfalfa, soy, wheat, flax, oats, peas, canola, and sunflower seeds. The fact that climate change has become a political hot button distracts from the real issue. The environmental impacts of a changing climate are real, they are here, and they are now. Scientists at the Gulf of Maine Research Institute observed that over the past 3 years, the waters in Maine have warmed at a rate 3 times the global average. High temperatures in the cold Maine waters affect lobsters and whales. Federal wildlife officials in Alaska are documenting die-off of Alaskan seabirds from the Bering Strait to the Gulf of Alaska that they think is connected to a trend in warming ocean water, which is affecting the birds' food supply of fish. In essence, the seabirds are dying of starvation. Will we lose the sea otters too? We produce 300 million tons of plastic per year. More than 8 million tons are dumped into our oceans or carried by rivers, floods, and runoffs from landfills. More than 500 billion plastic bags are used worldwide, and more than 1 million bags are used every minute. In the last 10 years, we have produced more plastic than during the whole of the last century. Worldwide, only 9% of plastic is recycled. According to the National Geographic, quote, plastic takes more than 400 years to degrade. 79% of plastics are accumulating in landfills or as litter, end quote. If present trends continue, by 2050, there will be 12 billion metric tons of plastic in landfills. That amount is 35,000 times as heavy as the Empire State Building. According to the World Economic Forum, quote, in 1974, the average per capita plastic consumption was 2 kilograms. Today, this has increased to 43 kilograms per person, end quote. If we reduce our use of plastic straws, plastic bags, single-use plastic items, including cups, plates, and cutlery, we can start to reduce the amount of plastic in the landfills and the ocean. There are some wonderful and simple alternatives: plates and utensils and cups made from bamboo and pressed leaves, reusable glass coffee cups with heat protectors we can use at Starbucks, glass and metal straws, reusable shopping bags. Flip-flops. Flip-flops are worn by over 3 billion people, and the lifespan of these plastic thongs is approximately 2 years. 90 tons of flip-flops wash up on the East African coast, mostly from Asia, India, China, and Kenya. A group of artists in Kenya is harvesting the flip-flops that wash up onto beaches and creating memorable animal sculptures out of them called Flip the Flop. Pete Seeger's Song of Changes, written in the late 1950s, was Turn, Turn, Turn. It was immortalized by the Byrds in 1965 and has an important resonance in 2018. Quote, a time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. The animals we share our lives with, be they domesticated or the wild creatures we may only glimpse from time to time or see in pictures and on TV, are depending on us to repair that which we have damaged, to, in essence, gather stones together, to stop laying waste to ocean and land, to be whisperers for all life on the planet. There is a season, turn, 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 and the season is now.
Real horses and real dogs are healthier, perform better, and recover more quickly on real food. That's why Biostar empowers horse and canine owners with 100% whole food nutrition, supplements, and feeding programs. Biostar products are made at their own certified non-GMO facility in Gordonsville, Virginia, using real fruit ingredients that are raw, freeze-dried, or dehydrated, never cooked, and are free from artificial flavors, colors, soy, corn, wheat, and molasses. The Biostar product line includes a wide range of whole food, horse and dog supplements, treats, and unique artisan poultices that embrace the ancient and traditional uses of clay and plants. Visit biostarus.com today and learn about whole foods and canine and equine nutrition so you can make the best decisions about the care and health of your horses and dogs. That's biostarus.com. Whole food nutrition the way nature intended.
So today our reading is going to be from the story of Dr. Dolittle by Hugh Lofting. And we're reading from the second chapter, which is Animal Language. It happened one day that the doctor was sitting in his kitchen talking with the cat's meat man, who had come to see him with a stomach ache.
Why don't you give up being a people's doctor and become an animal doctor?
Asked the cat's meat man. The parrot Polynesia was sitting in the window looking out at the rain and singing a sailor song to herself. She stopped singing and started to listen.
You see, Doctor,
the cat's meat man went on,
you know all about animals, much more than what these here vets do. That book you wrote about cats, well, it's wonderful. That's all that can be said. Wonderful. You might have been a cat yourself. You know the way they think. And listen, you make a lot of money doctoring animals. Do you know that? You see, I'd send the old woman who had sick cats or dogs to you. And if they didn't get sick fast enough, I'd put something in the meat. I'd sell them and make them sick, you see.
Oh, no,
said the doctor quickly.
You mustn't do that. That wouldn't be right.
Oh, I didn't mean real sick,
answered the cat's meat man.
Just a little something to make them droopy like was what I was referenced to. But as you say, maybe ain't quite fair on the animals. But they'll get sick anyway, because the old woman always gives them too much to eat. And look, all the farmers round about who had lame horses and weak lambs, they'd come, be an animal doctor.
When the cat's meat man had gone, the parrot flew off the window onto the doctor's table and said,
That man's got sense. That's what you ought to do. Be an animal doctor. Give the silly people up. If they haven't the brains enough to see you're the best doctor in the world, take care of animals instead. They'll soon find it out. Be an animal doctor.
Oh, there are plenty of animal doctors,
said John Dolittle, putting the flower pots outside on the windowsill to get the rain.
Yes, there are plenty,
said Polynesia.
But none of them are any good at all. Now listen, doctor, and I'll tell you something. Did you know that animals can talk?
I knew that parrots can talk,
said the doctor.
Oh, we parrots can talk in two languages, people's language and bird language, said
Polynesia proudly.
If I say Polly wants a cracker, you understand me. But hear this.
Good gracious,
cried the doctor.
What does that mean?
That means, is the porridge hot yet? In bird language.
My, you don't say so,
said the doctor.
You never talked that way to me before.
What would have been the good?
Said Polynesia, dusting some cracker crumbs off her left wing.
You wouldn't have understood me if I had.
Tell me some more,
said the doctor, all excited, and he rushed over to the dresser drawer and came back with the butcher's book and a pencil.
Now, don't go too fast. I'll write it down. This is interesting. Very interesting. Something quite new. Give me the birds' ABCs first. Slowly now.
So that was the way the doctor came to know that animals had a language of their own and could talk to one another. And all that afternoon while it was raining, Polynesia sat on the kitchen table, giving him bird words to put down in the book. At tea time, when the dog Jip came in, the parrot said to the doctor,
"See, he's talking to you,"
Looks to me as though he were scratching his ear,
said the doctor.
"But animals don't always speak with their mouths,"
said the parrot in a high voice, raising her eyebrows.
"They talk with their ears, their feet, with their tails, with everything. Sometimes they don't want to make a noise. Do you see now the way he's twitching up one side of his nose?"
What does that mean?
asked the doctor.
"That means, can't you see that it has stopped raining?"
Polynesia answered.
"He is asking you a question. Dogs nearly always use their noses for asking questions."
After a while, with the parrot's help, the doctor got to learn the language of the animals so well, he could talk to them himself and understand everything they said. Then he gave up being a people's doctor altogether. As soon as the cat's meat man had told everyone that John Dolittle was going to become an animal doctor, old ladies began to bring him their pet pugs and poodles who had eaten too much cake, and farmers came many miles to show him sick cows and sheep. One day a plow horse was brought to him, and the poor thing was terribly glad to find a man who could talk in horse language.
"You know, doctor,"
said the horse,
"that vet over the hill knows nothing at all. He has been treating me for 6 weeks now for spavins. What I need is spectacles. I am going blind in one eye. There's no reason why horses shouldn't wear glasses the same as people. But that stupid man over the hill never even looked at my eyes. He kept on giving me big pills. I tried to tell him, but he couldn't understand a word of horse language. What I need is spectacles."
Of course,
said the doctor.
I'll get you some at once.
"I would like a pair like yours.
Said the horse.
"Only green. They'll keep the sun out of my eyes while I'm plowing the 50-acre field."
Certainly,
said the doctor.
Green ones you shall have.
"You know the trouble is, sir,"
said the plow horse as the doctor opened the front door to let him out.
"the trouble is that anybody thinks he can doctor animals just because the animals don't complain. As a matter of fact, it takes a much cleverer man to be a really good animal doctor than it does to be a good people's doctor. My farmer's boy thinks he knows all about horses. I wish you could see him. His face is so fat he looks as though he had no eyes. And he has got as much brain as a potato bug. He tried to put a mustard plaster on me last week."
Where did he put it?
asked the doctor.
"No, he didn't put it anywhere on me,"
said the horse.
"He only tried to. I kicked him into the duck pond."
Well,
said the doctor.
"I'm a pretty quiet creature as a rule.
said the horse.
Very patient with people. Don't make much fuss. But it was bad enough to have that vet giving me the wrong medicine. And when that red-faced booby started to monkey with me, I just couldn't bear it anymore."
Did you hurt the boy much?
asked the doctor.
"No."
said the horse.
"Oh, no. I kicked him in the right place. The vet's looking after him now. When will my glasses be ready?"
I'll have them for you next week.
said the doctor.
Come again Tuesday. Good morning.
Then John Dolittle got a fine big pair of green spectacles, and the plow horse stopped going blind in one eye and could see as well as ever. And soon it became a common sight to see farm animals wearing glasses in the country around Puddleby, and a blind horse was a thing unknown. And so it was all the other animals that were brought to him. As soon as they found that he could talk their language, they told him where the pain was and how they felt, and of course it was easy for him to cure them. Now all these animals went back and told their brothers and friends that there was a doctor in the little house with the big garden who really was a doctor. And whenever any creatures got sick, not only horses and cows and dogs, but all the little things of the field, like harvest mice and water voles, badgers and bats, they came at once to his house and on the edge of town, so that his garden was nearly always crowded with animals trying to get in to see him. There were so many that came, he had to have special doors made for the different kinds. He wrote horses over the front door, cows over the side door, and sheep on the kitchen door. Each kind of animal had a separate door. Even the mice had a tiny tunnel made for them into the cellar, where they waited patiently in rows for the doctor to come round to see them. And so, in a few years' time, every living thing for miles and miles got to know about John Dolittle, M.D. And the birds who flew to other countries in the winter told the animals in foreign lands of the wonderful doctor of Puddleby on the Marsh, who could understand their talk and help them in their troubles. In this way, he became famous among the animals all over the world, better known even than he had been among the folks of the West Country, and he was happy and he liked his life very much. One afternoon, when the doctor was busy writing in a book, Polynesia sat in the window, as she nearly always did, looking out at the leaves blowing around in the garden. Presently, she laughed aloud.
What is it, Polynesia?
Asked the doctor, looking up from his book.
I was just thinking,
said the parrot, and she went on looking at the leaves.
What were you thinking?
I was thinking about people.
Said Polynesia.
People make me sick. They think they're so wonderful. The world has been going on now for thousands of years, hasn't it? And the only thing in animal language that people have learned to understand is that when a dog wags his tail, he means, I'm glad. It's funny, isn't it? You are the very first man to talk like us. Or sometimes people annoy me dreadfully. Such airs they put on talking about the dumb animals. Dumb. Why, I knew of a cow once who could say good morning in 7 different ways without once opening his mouth. He could talk every language and Greek. An old professor with a gray beard bought him, but he didn't stay. He said the old man didn't talk Greek right, and he couldn't stand listening to him teach the language wrong. I often wonder what's become of him. That bird knew more geography than people will ever know. People. Golly, I suppose if people ever learn to fly, like any common hedge sparrow, we shall never hear the end of it.
You're a wise old bird,
said the doctor.
How old are you, really? I know that parrots and elephants sometimes live to be very, very old.
I can never be quite sure of my age,
said Polynesia.
It's either 183 or 182, but I know that when I first came here from Africa, King Charles was still hiding in the oak tree. Because I saw him. He looked scared to death.
And that is the end of Chapter 2 of The Adventures of Dr. Dolittle.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks to our sponsor, Biostar US. You can find them online at biostarus.com.
Get the Horse Radio Network phone app on iOS or Android by searching for Horse Radio Network in the App Store. It's free and easy to use.
For details about today's show, go to healthycrittersradio.com, where you can find links, photos, and more information about our guests.
As always, we love your feedback. Please follow us on Facebook under Healthy Critters Radio.
Be sure to visit all the great shows on Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com.
Love your dog.
Hug your horse.
Feed your chickens.
Clean your litter box.
Dance with your goat.
Slither with your snakes.
Howl at the moon.
Hang with your hamster.
Party with your parrot.
Waddle with your walrus.
Outwit your otter.
Cuddle your cows.
Rap with your raptor.
Go chipping with your chipmunks.
Forgive your fox.
While hedging your hog.
We also recommend that you rack with your raccoon.
Gyrate with your giraffe.
Meditate with a meerkat.
Uber with your orangutan.
Facebook with your flamingo.
Ponder with your panda.
Walk with your Wookiee.
Yawn with your yak.
Twitter with your toucan.
Go raining with your reindeer.
Dropbox your dragon.